everybody. Welcome to PadreCast with Daren and Littleboy. I'm Littleboy.
And I'm Daren.
And this is our second weekly episode. We're going to be going over the Padres, and it's really early in the season. It's just barely over a week old. So we're going to be talking about so far the first week of the Padres season. First of all, I want to know how's your vacation going?
My vacation just on schedule. I'm just sitting around and watching a lot of baseball, doing a whole lot of nothing.
You know, it's funny. We talked last week. You know, I'm the blinders on Padre fan, and he's the baseball fan. His favorite team is the Cubs, but he is an overall baseball fan. This guy is such a baseball fan that every year he takes at least 2 weeks of vacation at the beginning of the baseball season.
Opening day it should be a national holiday. I shouldn't have to use my vacation for opening day, but
who knows? Maybe when you're in charge of the world, maybe you can change that.
Yeah.
So vacation's going good?
It's going good.
You still have a whole other week left.
I do.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. It seems like you've been gone for 3 weeks already. So far, Padres record 2-5, rough start. I was thinking that they would get off to a little bit better start than that. We had talked. We think that they're gonna win more than people have put as their over and under. 2-5 is rough. It's a little bit too early to be abandoning the ship. What do you think about their 2-5 start so far?
What's a little concerning to me is the defense hasn't really been playing that great, and that's one thing that was pushed to the. Defense was never a concern of mine about this team going into the offseason. I just thought they were going to be a great defensive team. We'll go last night's game, for example. Yonder Alonso made a pretty big error, I thought, and it wasn't Yonder Alonso's error. It was on Bartlett, but basically just let the throw sail over his head into the crowd. Just stuff like that, So little errors here or there. You listen to some of these local yahoos here in San Diego, and the season's already over. Yeah. And it just drives me crazy, which is probably
it's funny. You're getting a little bit ahead of me, but I remember you had actually talked to me about one of the local guys said. I don't know if you want to repeat it or not. Do you remember what you said about that?
It was before the very first Diamondback game. For those of you that listen to 1360, you should stop immediately, by the way. But he basically called what was it, the Tuesday's game?
Yeah.
Tuesday's game with the Diamondbacks a must-win. And
I'm thinking, win.
We're April what now?
Yeah.
We're calling that a must-win. And
I thought that was really, really, really funny. It's really funny how everybody overreacts. One of the things that, in order, with the Padres don't have the best talent in the league. They just don't. In order for them to win and have a chance to compete and have a chance to make the playoffs, because that's ultimately what the fans' goal is. You want to make the playoffs. There's three things that I think that they need to do, and they're doing all of these very poorly right now. I know it's only been 1 week. They need to make productive outs, and it sickens me. I'll talk about last night's game. Lead off with a triple, next guy single, next guy single. So you got the run in, that's great. But you have first and second and nobody out. And what happens? Do you remember? Strikeout, strikeout, strikeout.
With one of the league's best pitchers on the mound, you got him on the ropes early. That's when you got to get to him, because he really did settle in and show people why he is one of the best pitchers in the league.
And they're not. That's one of the things that really, really irks me is, and I'm. I admit I only watch the Padre games. I'm not the overall baseball fan, so maybe this happens more often. It just seems like you'll get one or two guys on, and the very next hitter usually seems to strike out or pop it up, but he is not. I mean, you're going to make it out. You're going to make it out 7 out of 10 times. You're going to walk up. You're going to walk back to the dugout 7 out of every 10 times. But make a productive out. Move the runners. Do something.
Yeah,
they don't seem like they're.
That's kind of a weird situation, though. I mean, you got Jesus Guzman, is who you're talking about. You got a runner on first and second. Ideally, if there was just a runner on second, nobody out, you'd want to hit the ball on the right side to get him over. You can't do that with first and second. It's a double play.
That is true.
So, and you're not going to ask your cleanup hitter to lay down a bunt,
That's true.
So, it's a little different situation there. But you're right. If you look at the season as a whole so far, you're right.
Another thing that I had on there of the three things is they need to play solid defense, which you've already talked about. Do you know that they are leading the league in errors right now?
I did not know that, but it doesn't surprise me.
Only 1 week. I'm not saying abandon ship. I'm not saying this. It's just, all we can go by is what's happened so far.
Right.
They're leading the league in errors. They are second in the league in strikeouts. Now, we had talked about this last week. They are 25th in the league in home runs, but they are first in strikeouts. I have no problem if you're going to be in the top 5 in strikeouts, but at least be in the top 10 in home runs. You know?
Well, you remember take a couple years ago, the Diamondbacks, just an awful team. I think it was, we'll just go back 2 seasons ago, but season before last, they had a terrible bullpen. They led the league. I think they set the major league record, or were up there in strikeouts for a season. But, you know, you got guys, they had Mark Reynolds playing third base,
right,
who led the league in strikeouts, but he also hit 40 home runs.
Exactly.
You know, the Padres don't have anybody like that on their team.
No. And Nick Hundley, who I had kind of predicted was going to have a pretty good season.
Both our guys actually haven't gotten off to very good starts. But
he's 0 for 19 right now. No hits right now. I think he wasted all this spring training. With the exception of his grand slam, he did hit a grand slam. Chase Headley seems like every time he gets up with runners in scoring position, he's watching strike 3. That's another thing. Not only is he striking out, but he seems like he's watching strike 3 go by. And, you know, I talked to somebody earlier in the week about Chase Headley. And, you know, I know you're not a real big fan of his. And you know, somebody gave me a little bit of a different perspective. You know, Chase Headley, he's a good player. The problem is he's a good player on the Padres, and he is put in a position that is not fair.
Oh, he's absolutely
They have him hitting third. He's what is he, 7-hitter maybe?
Well, that's what I said on our last week's show. He's a 2-hitter. I think he'd actually be a great 2-hitter because he's got a great eye, you know, great eye for the strike zone.
He's getting a lot of walks.
But he in my opinion, he is not a middle of the order bat, 3, 4, or 5. So yeah, 6 or 7, I think would be a good spot.
Padres did the same thing with Kevin Kuzminoff, who I was a huge fan of. I don't even know if he's in the league right now. But when he was on the Padres, they had him hitting 4th, you know, and I was a huge fan of his. But you have expectations when you're hitting 3rd and 4th. There's expectations, and you know these guys aren't. They didn't. He's not. You know, of course you're going to do whatever you can to help the team, but Headley's not saying I'm the 3-hitter, make me the 3-hitter. They're putting him there because they don't have anything else. What other options do they have?
That's a great point. I mean, a 3-hitter generally should be the best hitter on your team.
Yeah.
I personally don't think that's Chase Headley, but I mean.
Last year he probably was though. Well, Guzman came on real strong at the end though.
Yeah, Guzman's a windmill.
Yeah. Carlos Quentin's coming back next week. He's scheduled to come off the DL on Wednesday. You think that's going to make I mean...
there's a 3-hitter.
Yeah, that'll probably help Headley a little bit if he can come back and be healthy and be productive, you know.
Yeah.
Kotze is on a rehab assignment. He went 0-4 in Class A, big deal. I don't think they're worried about that. They're worried about him getting the time and seeing if he's going to be injured. Do you think he's going to make any impact? We talked about that last week.
Well, Mark Kotze, yes, I do. I think he's going to be, you know, the go-to bat off the bench, you know, especially late pinch hitting roles right now in a pretty crucial spot last night. And his name slipped my mind, but they had that rookie middle infielder. Yeah,
I was just going to say, I was going to bring him up too because I thought I was real happy with him in his first start.
But I think that he's going to be a good veteran bat coming off the bench, probably be the go-to pinch hitter, especially against a tough righty. So yes, I do think he'll make an impact.
Yeah. Now Joe Wieland is going to be brought up. He's going to be starting on Saturday. Now he came over in the Mike Adams trade, and it's funny because when the Padres traded away Mike Adams, they said the players that we got for him, everybody went, who?
No.
Who are those guys? Because, you know, you trade away a good guy and you want somebody back that you've heard of at least. What do you think about Wieland? What do you think about his future?
You know what? He's a strikeout pitcher. You know, he's only pitched about 8 innings in the minors, but I think he's got double-digit strikeouts.
8 innings this year. Right?
This year. I'm sorry, this season so far. And so, you know, I'm anxious to see what he could do. I mean, he's only 22 years old, so, you know, I'm sure there's going to be some jitters. Not only that, he's pitching, you know, Saturday night at Dodger Stadium, so I'm sure that's not going to be good on his nerves. But
how about Casey Kelly?
You know, I was surprised. I haven't heard. I haven't heard much about him. But they're really. It seems to me they're using the opposite approach on him. You know, they're usually sending guys up too quick. But they're kind of. Maybe they learned their mistake from Rizzo last year.
Yeah.
You know?
Boy, we had talked about that. I wish we had a show last year when they were about to bring him up because we had talked about that poor guy.
Yeah.
Because they had built him up so much and everybody was expecting...
They set him up for failure.
Yeah.
And not only him, all the local radio shows, all the Padres fans, everybody was expecting some guy to come in and just start hitting 60 home runs a year.
Right. And the worst thing he did the first game, he came up, he hit the wall. I think he hit the ball at the center field wall, and everybody goes, here's the guy we've been waiting for, because at the time, although we pretty much didn't hit all season anyways, but at the time they were not hitting at all.
Yeah. By the way, he's off to another hot start in AAA.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, how is he doing?
I think he's hitting 400 right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's a AAA sensation. He's just having trouble putting it together at the big team. We're going to move on. What I'm going to try and do each week, I have a bunch of just general questions that I want to ask you, and I had to fight myself because I wanted to put them all on there and run through them all today, but I'm going to save them for future shows. But my question this week is, there's a few people you hear on talk radio. I call them the move the fences at Petco Park people. And they talk about, they need to move the fences in, And before you say what you think on this, I want to tell you kind of my take on it. I love where the fences are at Petco Park. I think that it makes it a unique experience, and you build yourself a home field advantage. You build your team around your home field. I love it. I would be upset if they moved the fences in. I think that it's a stupid idea. What do you think, D?
We touched it on it very quickly. I mean, it's so ridiculous how people act like it's a hit and home run at a Yosemite Park. I mean, it's not that hard to hit a home run there. Chris Young home run yesterday, perfect example. I mean,
off of Cashner.
Yeah.
The ball left just as fast as he threw it.
But you know what? If I was a true Padre fan should want those fences moved back because they don't have any guys that can hit home runs anyway.
Right.
So what does it matter? What are you gonna set it up to 250 feet so that your big league guys could hit them out?
Right.
The fences moving in would do nothing but help the opposing teams hit more home runs.
Right.
I mean, they don't have the offense that's going to bash the ball at any park they play in.
No, they've built their team around pitching. And defense, which,
maybe it would be more exciting for the fans, more higher scoring runs, but I got news for you, Padre fans. I think it would just make the scores more lopsided.
Right.
The Padres don't have a lot of power on that team, so what would be the moving the fences in is just going to help power hitting teams. Imagine a team like Philadelphia comes in, or imagine just a team Arizona. Okay, they have a lot of young power hitters.
Right.
Imagine they come back and the fences are 10 feet closer.
Right.
No, that's so crazy to use that excuse and to live and die by that. I mean, no.
Both teams are hitting in the same park.
Yes.
Both teams are hitting in the same park, and it's actually, I think it's an advantage to us because that's what we built our team around. Look at last year. Look at our pitching staff. Our pitching staff did good. That's why everybody comes in, signs their one-year contract, and then signs their long-term contract and gets the
Padres
heck out.
have had pretty good pitching for a while now.
This year, I want to throw. We're going to move on to our players of the week, and it was a very, very tough choice because if you looked at the stats, they're just abysmal. Edison Volquez, I thought, had 2 starts. He should be. He should have a couple wins. He pitched 2 games that are certainly winnable.
Absolutely.
And I'm really upset that I didn't mention this last week. You're a big Lupke fan. He had a rough first start. Second start was really good. Rough first inning, and after that he did really good. One of my favorite pitchers, and possibly my favorite pitcher on the Padres, is Clayton Richards. And he started out spring training was really, really rough. Last start of spring training, he dialed it in, and then in his last start, he did real good. As long as you're not asking him to throw the ball at first, field the ball and throw it to first, because he for some reason seems to spike it when he throws it to first. Fields it great. He's a great athlete.
I'll tell you what. You say all you want about Clayton Richard, but he's pitched a lot better than Jake Peavy has since that deal went down.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's true. That's true. I'm a huge Clayton Richard fan. He's actually starting tonight if they don't rain out. They could be pitching right now actually. Big. Those were a couple guys that I had considered. My player of the week is Kristen Orfia. Now, if you look at his batting average right now, is in the low 2s, but who isn't on the Padres right now? But he hit a game-winning 2-run home run in the 8th inning, to win that game, and we only have 2 wins, and he's responsible for one of them. He's had some pretty big hits. He's a real good fill-in player. The problem with Denorfia is when you ask him to start every day, it's sad the fact that when he has to start every day. Right now he's platooning, which I don't know if that says for him or for who he's platooning with. But I'm going with Kristen Orfia for right now.
It's not a bad choice. I mean, the guy hit a game-winning home run this week, but I mean, regardless of what else he did, he still had a game-winning home run.
Exactly.
But I agree with you on Kristen Orfia. I think he's a very solid 4th outfielder.
Yeah, I'm very happy he's on the Padres. I think he, I'd like him coming off the bench.
Yeah.
That's basically.
That's basically.
Who do you got for your
mine? It was actually pretty easy. Excuse me, pretty easy this week because there wasn't that many bright spots. But it's Houston Street.
Yeah.
3 appearances. He only got 1 save chance. He converted the save, but I mean the guy hasn't given up a hit yet.
Yeah.
So 3 scoreless and hitless innings. Got to go with Houston Street.
Yeah, I thought.
And meanwhile, Heath Bell. I don't know if anyone saw that.
He blew his first save.
Blew
opportunity,
right? Not only that, but I think he gave up like 4 runs and got 1 out. So.
You know, I want to maybe bring in a segment later on also of Padres that were on the team last year, how they're doing with their teams this year. You know, because I want to. That kind of interests me. Yeah. You know, Latos. He lost his first game
sure
too, didn't he?
Got raked. Love
it. We talked about him last week, and you know, I'm a huge Padre fan. The second they leave, it's really sad. And call it Schadenfreude, call it whatever you want, but I want to see him do bad. You know, I just do. You know, especially. You know, I was a big Heath Bell fan. I know you for some reason had a big problem with the way he tied his shoes, but you know, I liked Heath Bell, and when I heard he blew his first save, it made me smile. You know, and that's terrible. You know, it's terrible.
I disagree. Like that, that's you being a fan. Every fan should have that kind of passion. Yeah. I disagree.
It's very rare that a player leaves and goes somewhere else, and I want him to do good. I just
Yeah, you'll like Heath Bell when he retires.
Yes, exactly. That's a good point.
I'm that way with every team.
I was even a little bit happy when I saw Hoffman struggling a little bit.
Yes.
And now that he's back, I'm totally happy that he's with the.
That's just a sign of being a true fan, in my opinion.
Okay. Well,
a passionate fan.
I appreciate that. That's going to wrap it up for our second episode. We will have another question. I have some good questions for D. His experience. He has a lot of playing experience too, so I'm going to kind of tap into that a little bit. You can reach me on Twitter.
Very low level playing experience, by the way.
Still, hey, higher level than me. You can reach me at LBHost on Twitter, and you can email me at littleboy@fatmanlittleboy.com. Where can we reach you?
You could. I'm on Twitter at Daren PFP Sports.
And take care.
Cheers.